So, good morning to everyone. I would like to start with thanking a few people because that's really important for me. The story started a few months ago. We worked really hard to reach here today. So I would like to thank d.o.o for reaching out to us, and especially Mirna also. And Maya also to come and join after that into the big adventure that where we are today. So we're here basically to share the knowledge that we've learned in other countries and the solution that have been proven valuable in where we are working. I'll give you a very short presentation because what's going to happen is that every subject I'm going to touch on right now is going to be further developed after that. We're going to have the demonstration this afternoon of Max, and some of our clients and some of our ambassadors as well that are using the radars will come and intervene and give you some further explanation in terms of the different topics. So my presentation is just touching base on the different subjects. If you have questions, obviously I'm very happy to answer them, but they will be all very much going further into details at a later stage today. So maybe some of you know us. I would say probably the majority doesn't. Who is Robin Radar? So we're a company in the Netherlands. We operate on a worldwide basis, and we operate onshore and offshore. We specialize in basically tracking small data. So what do? We work in different segments. We work in the wind, but we also work initially into the aviation sector, military and civil aviation, as well as doing all the security as well as the tracking of drones nowadays. So the company has got different segments, but here today we are here to talk specifically about the wind and the environmental consultancy side. Max is actually the system that we will be working and that you will be seeing this afternoon. It actually works in two segments, so the civil aviation and the wind. That's where we use the bird and avian radars. And the drone security works. The radar is actually there also. We've brought it because tomorrow we will have another workshop on securities. Is a drone radars as well and works on different technology. But if you're interested, you can also have a look this afternoon because it will be next to Max by the side. So what I've heard a lot, and Mirna has helped me to understand all the presentation. What I've heard as well is like in many other countries, there is a sort of a very ambivalent way. We want to grow, but at the same time, we want to preserve the environment. There are strong indication as well from Europe to try to grow the number of wind farms. They are growing quicker or sometimes a bit less quick in other countries, but we all are trying to find solutions to actually work together, and from the operator side, from the government side, from the environment consultancy. And what does Robin Radars do is actually we try to facilitate this transition. And we try to facilitate it by bringing new technology to be able to observe and to get data and real data and full data in terms of the birds monitoring and also in terms of the mitigation. So that's our role, that's what we are trying, that's our mission, trying to assist all the different parties in finding solutions and providing tools. The tools that the environmental consultancy will be able to after that use to provide full analysis to the governments or to the operators in order to find the best places and try to find solutions to grow to the numbers that we are trying to grow in different countries. So this is a bit dramatic, but why 40 seconds? Because 40 seconds is basically the time that you can send a signal to your from your radar to your SCADA system to slow down your turbines. So basically, if you are able in real time to observe your birds, you can send a signal to be able to slow down your turbines in time to avoid basically the collision. So that will be explained later on by, hopefully, if we run not too late and they will still be there, by some of the guys that have integrated the system, the SCADA system as well. So they will explain to you the more technical side of things and how things works. But that's basically why the 40 seconds are there. It will depend on the turbines operators as well. They are slightly different. But, and what do we provide? We provide complete awareness of the skies. And why do I use the word complete? Is because basically the new type of radar, the technology has evolved so much that we've got different radar now and that are able to look at the 360. The technologies made a huge jump a few years ago from the traditional radar, which you will see also that we are still using, so 2 antennas, to 1 antenna that is able to give you a 360. And this is major. It's major because it can give you exactly your risk assessment in terms of your height and your risk of collision on your whole wind farm, which before that you had specific segments. So that's a really big improvement in terms of the technology aspects. So now we'll just show you a little video that is showing you where we work, some places because we expanded quite a lot in the last few years. We now have got a project in Tasmania, in Taiwan. So yeah, it's grown, and that's why we are here in Croatia, to show that it's actually working in other countries, and we are actually trying to assist and to move forward and to share this experience with you guys. And hopefully we will try to reach that today, or at least to make the first steps toward that.
We're building more wind farms than ever before, and turbines are only getting taller, bigger and more powerful. Robin Radar Systems helps wind farm operators, research institutes and environmental consultancies mitigate the impact of wind farms on birds. In Finland, for example, we installed bird radar with a shutdown mechanism for their offshore project. And in China, we helped protect and research endangered birds' habitat at Yangcheng Nature Reserve. Our radars automatically detect and log hundreds of birds simultaneously, including their size, speed, direction, and flight path. Historically, this type of information is gathered by human observers, but our radars are more accurate, don't need to rest, and can see in all weather, day or night. Our newest radar, MAX, has the fastest rotation speed in the market, with track updates every second. Birds are classified as small, medium, large or flock, with their movements displayed in real time on your PC, tablet or smartphone. This allows unprecedented 3D visualization of flight paths with the ability to export tracks into Google Earth. This specific visualization created by Bureau Vardenburg has been complemented by their visual observation in order to associated species to the tracks. Wind farm Kavana in Bulgaria takes advantage of high wind speeds, but it's also located on a bird migration path. They needed a way to protect the birds. Our radars can automatically switch turbines off and on again to reduce bird mortality. When our radars detect bird movement crossing a specific threshold, we generate a shutdown command to either a group of turbines or individual turbines. We can monitor all systems from our office in The Hague for easy troubleshooting. Robin Radar can help you with meeting today's challenge.
Okay, so I've got to apologize. It sounds a bit salesy, but it's actually really representing what you will see this afternoon. And I think, as we say, the proof is in the pudding. So I hope that by using the tablets and looking at the bird viewer and be able to use the system yourself to try to see and to validate visually what you would see on the tablets, then you will get a real sense of what the radar can actually do. So the MAX is going to be there, as I said, this afternoon. We will go for the demonstration. And what we can see is actually the detection rate is up to 10 kilometers, but I'm always very careful in terms of giving figures because there is a big difference between detecting and classifying as well. And one thing you need to understand with a radar, or this radar specifically, is that it classifies, and Ralph will explain a bit later, it's actually classifying by size. So if you need, for example, to have species recognition, then you're going to need to add different kind of things, for example, visuals observation, to be able to complement. In other cases, like we've done as well, to try to be able to see bats, and to know that they are, we're going to put acoustics to be able to match it with the radars. So the radar is one sensor, but sometimes you need a combination of different sensors as well to get a full overview and to get a full understanding of what is really happening on the site. So the real-time monitoring is really important because that's going to allow you to actually have the mitigation working in real time and not just on models. Sometimes there is prediction models and we do risk assessments, but this kind of tools is actually allowing you to react, like I say, in 40 seconds to be able to mitigate in case of very high density for migration, for example. If your risk level is getting too high, then you're able to prevent that and to prevent the collision. So that's some kind of example. We will look into a deeper one this afternoon as well, what the report viewer can give you, and that's assisting greatly all the environmental consultancy, because getting all this kind of data, these thousands of tracks, and you need to see where they are, you need to look at the hotspot, you need to look at when are they coming during the days, if it's different because of the weather, and all these kind of elements. This is actually some of the toolings, automatic toolings, that can help you with the work and giving you a better sense of the data as well to do your analysis at a later stage. So the shutdown on demand, that will be something also that Petri will explain. Our clients in Finland that they've installed that has been actually for the last 4 years, and Soren will explain also the latest one that we are working on at the moment in Tasmania, which is more complicated because it's related to one single species. So filtering out one species with a radar that's only giving you the size is very difficult, because you need to use also the artificial intelligence and other information to be able to get to this filtering. So every project is very different, and we had a very interesting discussion this morning with d.o.o. The radar is not always the solution, because you need to very much take into account the kind of ground that you're going to have. And we've seen it also this weekend. If you've got, for example, very large amount of trees, or you've got very high steep denivellation in your ground, then the radar is working like your eyes. It's going to get blind spots. It's not able to see behind objects. It's not able to see behind metallic structure. So there are some limitations that you've got to take into account. This can be counterbalanced in some cases, like, for example, putting the radar up a mast to be able to see above the tree canopies. There are ways to deal with things, but sometimes it's just not the best solution. So I would say in many cases it is a good tool, but in some cases you've got to also understand the limitation and the restriction of the tools. So that's something we are normally very cautious about, and we work together with the clients. We work together with to go through the permitting process, to be able to advise what you can do and what you can't. And in some cases, then yes, it's too complicated to be able to put the radars. But I must say that we are very happy with the number of clients that we are helping right now, and we are using the radars with I would say the largest operator at the moment. We're working with Ørsted, we're working with Equinor, onshore and offshore, in Taiwan, in Norway. With environmental consultancy. So that's really something, the trend is really growing in terms of radar is becoming, I would say, normal in terms of gathering your data. It's becoming the norms into the industry, which is a very nice thing to see, because that means that everybody wants to have a real set of data and not just a little bit of segmentation in terms of the data that you're going to obtain, because you want to have an overview of the night migration, you want to have a real understanding of your bird's behavior. So that's some of the examples that I just wanted to provide you, because Dalibor mentioned also, sort of the electric powers and all these kind of infrastructures as well that are going to be built up also in Croatia. That can give you also the background and the information to be able to sit the location of the lines or your wind farm or any other, I would say, infrastructure that you're going to develop that is going to be placed in a very sensitive area. So we're working with, I would say, a consultant like Nina, is a Norwegian institute. So we're very happy to have this kind of people on board and using our radars, because they are very, I would say, an in-depth knowledge about the birds and the bird behavior. So they help us also improve the system and try to adapt it to make it better for the people to use the tool. So yeah, I will just go very quickly to some of the things, but we use the radar at a different stage, and that may be something that I did not explain, but we use it very often for the environmental impact assessment, but also during the operational for monitoring, and also the mitigation when he's actually in construction. So at every stage of your wind farm project, you will be able to have some needs potentially to actually use a radar at some point. So that was one of the first automatic turbine shutdown that we had in Bulgaria. That was actually mandatory through the permitting for them to obtain it, to actually show that and to demonstrate that they had actually one of the radar plates to be able to mitigate during migrations. This is another example of moving radars as a second generation radars to be able to observe migration and to be able to do the same thing in terms of the environmental impact assessment. So that's a company that we've been working with for many years also. We've actually got a joint venture in China also, and they are starting also. The legislation is changing, and we can see the demand this is growing in terms of having more information in terms of the environmental impact assessment, in terms of all the wind farms. So I would say we've got a feeling that from every side of the world at the moment, the legislation, the needs are changing very drastically, and one of the reasons is because of the steep growth in terms of the number of wind farms required. So yes, so that's basically it for me, because I think this afternoon is going to be basically where you're going to be able to experience Max. So I don't think I need to say much more than that, but I'm free to answer questions if you've got some straight away.